latest on the Russia investigation, here with our chief White House correspondent, Jon Karl, our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, Meghan McCain from The View. And John, let me start out. We just got some news breaking right now, learning that Rick Gates, a top Trump campaign aide who has already been charged by Robert Mueller, has now hired a new attorney to hold discussions with Mueller's team. This attorney has a track record of negotiating plea agreements.
This is a potentially big deal, George, because Rick Gates was a very key player on the Trump campaign. Of course, very close to Paul Manafort, but he stayed at the campaign after Manafort left, close to Jared Kushner, close to Tom Barrack, another one of the president's key advisors. If he goes state's witness, that could be a game changer.
Mueller moving step by step.
Yeah, and this is something that I think many have suspected, because there's been a little bit of a difference in the way federal prosecutors have been dealing with Manafort and Gates, leading many to suspect that maybe there were some ongoing considerations, possibly discussions going on with Gates that have not been going on with Manafort.
Going to keep a close eye on this. Meanwhile, we've also learned, John, that Mueller has interviewed the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, and several other cabinet members, the director of the CIA, director of National Intelligence, former director of the National Security Agency. He is moving closer and closer to the president.
And we also know that Mueller's team has made it clear they want to talk to the president directly about the firings of James Comey and Michael Flynn. And the key fact here is he has now interviewed, we know, key members of the Trump inner circle in his cabinet.
After news broke that Mueller's investigation has reached into the president's cabinet, the president said he isn't worried in the least.
Mr. President, are you concerned about what the Attorney General told the special counsel?
No, I'm not at all concerned. Not at all.
Attorney General Sessions was questioned by the special counsel's team for hours, nearly a year after he told lawmakers at his confirmation hearing that he had no contact with the Russians when he was senior advisor to the Trump campaign.
And I didn't not have communications with the Russians.
That turned out to be untrue. He had met with the Russian ambassador to the U.S. After that became public, Sessions, citing his senior role in the Trump campaign, announced that he would not be overseeing the Russia investigation.
Therefore, I have recused myself.
Sources familiar with Sessions' appearance before the special counsel tell ABC News that Sessions was questioned about his conversations with the ambassador and about the firing of former FBI Director James Comey. Comey himself has been interviewed by the special counsel's team. Comey's interview focused on the memos he wrote after he said the president asked him to take a pledge of loyalty. Last June, the president said he was more than willing to discuss that meeting with the special counsel himself.
So if Robert Mueller wanted to speak with you about that,
I would be glad to tell him exactly what I just told you, John.
It's unclear whether the president's offer, which he said 100% he'd be willing to do that, still stands. People close to the president have urged him to fight the special counsel's request for a sworn interview. Meanwhile, we've learned that last year the president lashed out at Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe, demanding to know, George, who he voted for. McCabe said that he actually didn't vote in the presidential election.
Echoes of the questions he was reported to have asked James Comey about would he be loyal to him as well, the former FBI director. Let me start with Dan again. Dan, we now see the interviews that Robert Mueller has conducted so far. The whole question of the interview with the president now on the table, and you still see some on the president's team, according to this reporting, thinking about negotiating written questions. That's not going to fly with Mueller.
Well, no, and so what the president would like is probably written only or no questions at all. But his team would certainly say, look, send us your questions. We'll be happy to answer them in writing, and therefore the lawyers can look at them and they can edit it, etc. What Mueller's team wants is a full, no limits, no holds barred interview where they can talk about anything they want. The question is going to be, can they work out something in between? Are they going to be able to work out something where they can ask him certain things and they'll answer other questions in writing? I don't think Mueller's team is going to go for that. And that's where you have the potential showdown. That's where you have, if they can't reach a deal, you have the possibility that the president then gets subpoenaed to testify in front of a grand jury, and his response may be, I'm just not coming. I'm not going to go to the grand jury. You don't have that power to do that. And then you have a really interesting legal showdown.
Of course, then there are precedents of President Clinton going to the grand jury 20 years ago. Meantime, Meghan, you see President Trump and his allies on Capitol Hill putting more and more pressure on the FBI and Mueller?
Yeah, I think we need to be really careful going into midterm elections with the implications that possibly Republicans think anything that happens in this investigation is okay. What's interesting to me is Sarah Huckabee Sanders coming out yesterday saying Americans don't care about this. This is a nothing burger. The problem is every time we're told it's a nothing burger, another tentacle on this octopus comes out and more and more information is revealed. And I actually do think the average American, even the Trumpiest Trump voter, does want to know exactly what happened in this investigation. And I think we have to be as clear and transparent as possible. And I think the idea that anyone taking cover or giving cover to this president at this point, if he did in fact have the kind of interactions with Russia and Ambassador Kislyak that are being propositioned right here, could possibly be incredibly lethal, especially if you talk about like primetime television with President Trump testifying in front of Congress. You want to talk about getting off message and getting off policy-wise where we need to be, it will be lethal.
I would say the one thing we know for sure is that we don't know everything that Mueller knows.
True.
That is certain.
Yeah.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.